Welcome to the Pontier Podcast. In today's episode, we have Beth Hackman with us. She's a recent graduate from the UK and has moved over to Australia to start her first physio job. So welcome, Beth.
Hiya, thank you.
How are we doing?
Yeah, great, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. So in today's episode, the idea is that listeners will understand the possibilities within physio, either after graduating or it already in their career, and also the process of making such a big step like you've made.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
my first question is, why Australia?
Do you know what? It's always been like on the cards, wanted to go, wanted to travel. It's such a topic of discussion, I think, when people get to uni or they've just been traveling. And it was always on my radar, especially having family that live over here as well. So it was always kind of an overarching, maybe I might go. And actually, I was on LinkedIn one day at uni and an ad popped up for like travel to Australia and then work as a physio. And I was like, oh, I mean, it's nice to know it's an option. So I kind of put that to the side and thought, okay, we'll get uni done and then see what happens. So that was the first thought. I think it was the travel and the exciting, different place to be. But then I think eventually, once I'd started my NHS job, started as a physio, got into the process, it was kind of a bit like, oh my gosh, I'm missing something here. I think not that there's limited job progression or anything that I found, it was just I wasn't quite fulfilled so much in my NHS role. Hence why making the move to work over here. And I think it was probably this time last year where there was no band 5 jobs, and I know a lot of people were struggling, and it was a bit of a state of where am I going to feel fulfilled again in my NHS role for years to come? Am I going to have any opportunity to progress and get further in the career in the NHS, or do I kind of down a different route and look into the option of Australia?
Yeah. So how long were you in the NHS for?
I did 2 years worth of rotations as a band 5 in 2 different trusts. One was a community trust and then one was an acute trust, just because there was such a limited amount of opportunities when I first started to get into an acute hospital. Community rotations were my in, really.
Okay, and then so are you looking for something similar? Were you going to Australia, or are you kind of branching out completely?
So my background is in sport therapy, and I think I've always loved the sport side, the private side, the MSK. So I did a part-time job alongside my NHS stuff as a sports physio as well, and that's the route I've gone down in Australia because there's plenty of opportunities for that. It's actually harder to get into a public-private hospital here compared to sort of at home. So private MSK is the option that I've gone for.
Okay, so is that more of a popular choice then? There's lots of physios doing private MSK.
Yeah, definitely, I'd say so. All the ads that I've looked at and all the agencies, there's a lot of aged care community, but again, there's a lot of MSK private work as well.
Bro. So then what year were you when you saw that original ad to move to Australia and work there?
I think I was probably in my second year of uni. So we're looking at like 2022, something like that, when I was doing physio. And yeah, it was on my LinkedIn. It was like an agency that help you kind of go through the stages and talk about that sort of thing. So I actually fired them an email just as what do I do? Like, what does this look like? I've not yet graduated. And they kind of set up a little step by step and said, don't worry about it now, just kind of have a think about it, keep it on the radar, and then get back in touch when you want to think about it.
That's really interesting. I'd be interested to know that if you still have that link, because that'd be quite good to post on the comment section.
Yeah, definitely.
So without seeing that ad, do you think you'd be where you are today, or do you think there might have been another route into it?
Definitely would have been another route in. I think it was definitely always on the cards, but that was definitely my spur of the moment. Okay, It's definitely easier than it seems. I think physio is such a career that you can kind of go anywhere around the world. You can change the options that you want, like specialty, that sort of thing as well. Where, yeah, seeing this ad was a bit of a spark for me. But yeah, loads of options.
So what was that process that they told you? What was what did that look like?
So I'll do a bit of a comparison of like what you need in the UK compared to Australia. I think that's probably the easiest way to go around it. So obviously we have the HCPC at home, where we're a standardised board healthcare professionals. They have something called AHPRA here, which is Allied Health Professionals something or other, all the letters they put in it. So the UK and Australia have a reciprocal agreement, or a new sort of pathway where healthcare professionals can a little bit more easily get into use their HCPC to go over to the AHPRA. And it's quite costly. It does cost a bit. You have to do a little bit of coursework, but there's no exams. And I think that was taken out over the last 3 or 4 years. And I think that's probably why that ad was sort of fired in my LinkedIn, because it was new at the time that you don't have to do an exam anymore. So the AHPRA is the first step, getting your HCPC equivalent, really. And then it kind of step by step tells you where to go. And I must admit, the internet was my best friend. I did so much Googling.
Okay. So you said coursework there, and no exam. So what does the coursework look like?
It's really interesting, actually. I thought it was really cool. It's mainly based around the healthcare system in Australia and how it works. And to work in a country that you're not familiar with and have no understanding of their healthcare system is overwhelming. So it talks you through a little bit about how things work and the people in the population that they have over here. There was a lot of coursework and a lot of information around Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and people in Australia. And they talk a lot about the history of that and what it means, and history of the land and where Australia kind of originated as well. So it helps, again, understand the communities that you might be working with. And I wouldn't say it was specifically physio based. It's a lot of overarching healthcare and the allied health. But it gives a lot of case studies. You do a lot of reflective practice. You answer questions in sort of like an essay format of your own thoughts based on what the information they're giving you. But it's not marked per se.
You have to learn any more anatomy or more clinical side, anything like that?
Oh, no clinical.
Okay.
Again, it's the UK to Australia thing. So luckily, if your degree is from the UK, then you fit into that category of not having to do any more.
Brilliant. And how long did that process take in terms of the coursework side of things?
It can be as quick or as slow as you want it, really. Once you've paid for that course, it's on something called an express flyer pathway, and you can do it in probably, I'd say, a day. And once you've done that, you can apply. Well, with the certificate they give you, you can then apply for your AHPRA. So that's like your ticket to the AHPRA, really, all that coursework.
Of course, that's really quick then.
I'd say so, yeah. I did take a lot longer to do it just because I wanted to be sure and make sure I was doing all the right things. And honestly, you could probably fly through it.
Right. And how long does that the process for the AHPRA application take? How long did that take for you?
Oh gosh, that was really confusing. I don't know about confusing, but it was more I wanted to get it right, because once you've paid for it, you don't know if you've done it right and it's going to be wrong, or you're going to get it back. And it does take about 3 months to get back. So I actually applied when I was in the UK and came to Australia, did a bit of traveling, and I still didn't have my AHPRA back yet. So I was a bit apprehensive because I didn't know timings, and they do say to wait and see what happens. So I did, and I got the results back of it, and it said, okay, fantastic, you've showed us you've done this express flyer pathway. I did a police check as well that you have to do. But the thing that I forgot to do was I didn't get my certificate certified, so my degree certificate. You have to get it certified by someone in the UK who is either a lawyer or a solicitor or that sort of career, or bring your certificate to Australia and a healthcare profession can do it here. Similar to like our HCPC in the UK. But obviously when you're in a different country and you haven't got all your bits and pieces with you, it was a nightmare. So luckily my parents pulled through very quickly for me. But once that certificate was certified, after the 3 months that I'd waited, it came back within a week.
Brilliant. That's really good. And then so then you got the process, you all got process, you got your registration, and then is that when you started looking for a job?
Yes, once I'd got all that stuff sorted and I could sleep at night, I then gave myself a bit of time and then started to apply for jobs, just knowing like what area I wanted to be in, what I was generally looking for. Yeah, so it was private MSK, and I've chosen to be in Sydney.
Lovely. Okay. Was that easier or harder than you expected to find that first job?
If I'm honest, it was surprisingly easy. So I used I used Seek, I used Indeed, and I went through a few agencies as well. So the first one that I spoke about that had the ad on LinkedIn, I went through them, and another one just to really like broaden all my options. I did actually get offered 3 different jobs and a few different agency contracts. So there was a lot of option, and it was almost a bit overwhelming because you don't know what's right. So making the right decision is really hard.
Yeah.
But I'd say there was quite a lot of opportunities over here.
Which one was the one that stuck the most? Which one was the best platform for you? Was it agency, Indeed?
I actually went for the job that I found on Seek, and it's a private MSK, so it's like the company's just uploaded the profile themselves, and you're literally just talking to the director of the company. But the reason I chose the job that I did was because of all the basically what they offered and what I wanted to do. But equally, I thought, I'm in a different country. I don't want to work myself to death like I was back home. I wanted a lifestyle, and I think that's what a lot of people come over here for. So I did go for the job offer that had less hours, and I feel like I could live the lifestyle that I wanted. I'm only 24. I don't want to work crazy hard and regret not spending time in a beautiful country. So
Exactly
yeah.
that. Do you get to travel much whilst you're there? Have you got the time for that?
Yeah, so the job that I've chosen is 31 hours a week compared to like our standard 37.5. So it gives me more time to explore around Sydney. I have a car, so it's nice to go for like some weekends away. And like I said before I got here, I actually did a bit of traveling as well, just to, yeah, see everything that I could.
What's the best place you've visited so far in Australia?
This is such a hard question. I think everyone will say it was everything. But I loved Airlie Beach, which is where you can get to the Whitsundays and the Great Barrier Reef. So did some snorkeling and did a flight over the Great Barrier Reef, which was incredible, beautiful.
So I'm so glad you said that, because a little present to myself when I graduate at the end of this year is I'm traveling to Australia, and
Yeah,
Airlie Beach is on the list. So I'm so glad you said
amazing.
that.
Yeah, you'll love it. It was like such a highlight, really breathtaking.
Perfect. So, what's one piece of advice that you wish someone had gave you before you made the move over to Australia?
I think it would be to really look into each job profile and understand the healthcare system and how it works and what the job process is. They have something over here called superannuation, which is almost like an extra pot of money that comes along with your salary. They have different pots for performance stuff that you can get extra with your job, and understanding that our healthcare system is so different to theirs. I think I was just a bit naive in the fact that I've got this NHS experience, I've got this UK experience, physio is physio, when actually like it's actually a completely different ball game over here. But understanding that and then starting the process early. I'm glad I started in the UK, but I wish I'd sorted my certificates and stuff out at home as well.
Might be a bit of a can of worms, but what makes it so different, would you say?
I think based on all the training I've literally just gone through to get the job that I have and that sort of thing, I think it's the insurance side of things, where everything's an insurance case or a medical sort of case over here. People can go to a physio privately, obviously, but in the NHS, there's such a more like streamlined, you go to your GP, you get referred to a physio. Whereas I think over here, physio is actually such a first point of call, which I love. People don't go to their GP because they've injured something. They know they need a physio, and they really, I think there's a little bit more respect placed on that MSK physio from the get-go, which is great. But even things like scans, and in my interview I got asked a question like, what would you do with this sort of patient? I'd be like, oh well, I'd go for this option of like imaging first. And they're like, why? I'm like, budget. There isn't that sort of problem over here. You kind of go for what needs to be done and the max straight away. So
Lovely.
yeah.
Perfect. So, what would you say you're hoping to achieve within your first year of working in Australia?
Oh, I definitely want to progress my ability as an MSK physio. I think I've never had that 9 to 5 of MSK. I've done a part-time role and then I've done NHS rotations. So I want to establish myself, I think, as an MSK clinician. And being in such a beautiful part of the world, I think it would be nice to have a different, like, what's the word? A different outlook on how they do things, because it's not going to be the same as how it was at home. But yeah, just grow my skills, understand how they do things differently. I'm sure they even have different, like, research, or not different research, but they look at things a different way that we do. So yeah, I just want to be better and still learning, obviously.
Yeah, that's really good. And then if we were to record this podcast in 5 years' time, let's say, what do you think? How would you say your working day would change by then?
Oh, as in, like, from now until comparing
Yeah,
in
5 years' time. Do you think you'd still be working reduced, slightly reduced hours to still travel? Do you think you'd be more working a little bit more hours? What do you think that looks like for you?
I think it's hard to say, isn't it? But I love the idea of a 4-day working week. Every job that I went for, they were so like, we won't get you to do 5 days a week. They were all 4 days,
Wow.
either full-time or, like I said, part-time. I think lifestyle is so important, and I think we work ourselves to death in things like the NHS, and I worked over 50 hours a week at home to afford this trip as well. But I think it's really put a perspective on life is so important to live. We should live for fun rather than for our jobs. Lucky that I do love my job, obviously, but I'm definitely wholeheartedly into this 4-day working week. So yeah, I think that's really important.
Is this for the foreseeable at the moment then, this move to Australia? Can you see yourself moving back at all? From what you said, I can't see it.
I think the pull home's always going to be friends and family. I was really close to all my friends and family at home, so that's always been the hardest bit. But for me at the moment, at the point that I'm at with, like, my career and life and age, I think this is definitely where I want to be. Luckily, with UK and Australia agreement, you have up to 3 years working holiday visa, and then as a healthcare professional, you can get onto sponsorship and different sort of visas as well. So there's lots of different options if I do want to stay.
Did you go alone, by the way, over to Australia?
No, I came with my boyfriend.
Bro,
So
okay, cool. So at least you had someone.
yes,
Yeah.
that's definitely such a help. Like, having a support system already with me massively helps.
Bro. So what we're going to do now, we're going to move over to a quick fire section. So just have a
Fab.
few questions. Yeah, just have a few questions and just try and answer them as quick as you can. Okay.
Okay.
Lovely stuff. Right, here we go. So 3 words to describe how you're feeling right now.
um Excited, exhausted, and happy.
Lovely. Biggest fear.
Oh my gosh, spiders since being here, 100%.
First thing you'll miss from the UK.
Oh, Greg's sausage roll.
Coffee or tea before starting work.
I've turned into a coffee girl.
Okay. One thing you're packing that you can't live without.
My Dyson Airwrap.
What you've already answered this. I'm gonna say, what Australian animal are you scared of the most?
Oh my, spiders, they're huge.
And what's your biggest excitement?
I can't wait to start teaching Pilates class in Australia, because how cool does that sound?
Outside Pilates, I'm assuming.
Sorry?
Outside Pilates on the beach.
Wow, yes, and part of my job. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Sounds amazing. It sounds so different to the NHS, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for recording this podcast with us. We really appreciate it. And I really hope
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And yeah, I really hope people listening have got something out of it, even if it's something if there's something they're not looking at doing into Australia, it's something that's quite interesting just to hear, because it's not every day you get to hear this sort of conversation. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. It'd be great to record another podcast in the future, just to catch up and see how you're getting on.
Yeah, see if it is all that it's lived up to.
Real. But thank you again.
Thank you.